قد أخذ عليكم موثقا من الله ومن قبل ما فرطتم في يوسف فلن أبرح الأرض حتى يأذن لي أبي أو يحكم الله لي وهو خير الحاكمين ارجعوا إلى أبيكم فقولوا يا أبانا إن ابنك سرق وما شهدنا إلا بما علمنا وما كنا للغيب حافظين واسأل القرية التي كنا فيها والعير التي أقبلنا فيها وإنا لصادقون قال بل سولت لكم أنفسكم أمرا فصبر جميل عسى الله أن يأتيني بهم جميعا إنه هو العليم الحكيم وتولى عنهم وقال يا أسفا على يوسف وقال يا أسفا على يوسف وابيضت عيناه من الحزن فهو كظيم قالوا تالله تفتأ تذكر يوسف حتى تكون حرضا أو تكون من الهالكين قال إنما أشكو بثي وحزني إلى الله وأعلم من الله ما لا تعلمون يا بني يذهبوا فتحسسوا من يوسف وأخيه ولا تيأسوا من روح الله إنه لا ييأس من روح الله إلا القوم الكافرون فلما دخلوا عليه قالوا يا أيها العزيز مسنا وأهلنا الضر وجئنا ببضاعة مزجاة فأوف لنا الكيل وتصدق علينا إن الله يجزي المتصدقين قال هل علمتم ما فعلتم بيوسف وأخيه إذ أنتم جاهلون قالوا أئنك لأنت يوسف قال أنا يوسف وهذا أخي قد من الله علينا إنه من يتق ويصبر فإن الله لا يضيع أجر المحسنين.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. My Lord, expand for me my breast, make my work easy for me, and loosen the knot from my tongue so that they may understand my speech. Rabbi zidna ilma, O my Lord, increase us in knowledge. Ameen. Allahumma faqihna fi ddeen, O Allah, give us the understanding of deen. Ameen. Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafi'a wa amalan mutaqabbala wa rizqan tayyiba. O Allah, indeed, I ask you for beneficial knowledge, acceptable deeds, and pure provision. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. All praise and thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as we return for Pearls of the Quran, lesson 251. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this journey smooth and easy, accept our tiny efforts from all of us, and shower His grace and mercy upon us, both in this dunya and in akhirah. Ya Rabbil Alameen, make it a source for us to reach the highest heavens, inshallah, on the Day of Judgment. Ya Rabbil Alameen, please forgive us, Ya Rabbi. Ya Rabbi, please forgive us and shower your mercy upon all of us. Remove all disease and ailments from us and allow us to focus truly and thoroughly in your mission. Ameen, inshallah. I welcome you all back. I hope and pray you're all well, inshallah, sisters. We continue today from where we left yesterday. I'd like someone to confirm that you can hear me. I've had a few technical hiccups on starting. I'm hoping and praying that things are fully recovered now. You can hear me, but please confirm. I'm not getting any signal from you as to say, oh, alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair, Sister Ambori. Alhamdulillah. So today we continue, inshallah, from where we left, okay? Verse 77 onwards. But just prior to going into verse 77, let's just look at briefly what we looked at last lesson. Last lesson, we looked at some lifelong lessons in terms of our everyday dealings with others. And I'd like to reflect on them before we move on to our new part today, just as a quick recap, revision aid for all of us. We looked at the love of a parent despite the offspring's shortcomings, you will recall. The love of a parent, the love of your Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam, despite what his sons had done previously. Secondly, the effects of the evil eye, and how not to broadcast our blessings. We looked at the vocabulary of a believer. It's MashaAllah, Subhanallah, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. And how to remove the effects of evil eye by remaining connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through du'as, through the muwaddadain, the last two surahs of the Noble Quran. And we realized and we looked at the point that nothing can protect us but the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to trust and rely in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. It's His protection alone that prevents us from any mishap. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills something to happen, no one can remove it. And vice versa, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to protect us, no one can harm us. Okay? So no harm can come up to us if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't will. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't want that, He can do so. So vice versa, okay? To trust and rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala completely, not to grieve over the past. We looked at that when Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam took when he took his brother, when Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam took Benjamin, his brother, aside and confided in him and said, don't grieve over what they did in the past. So not to grieve over the past. And finally, the beauty of and the importance of forgiveness is what we looked at yesterday. Okay? So where did we see that he said he took him aside? Just quote the ayah if you want to give it me before. He took his brother, verse 69, he took his brother Benjamin to himself and said, verily, I am your brother. So he told him firstly who he was, and he said, grieve not for what they used to do. So this is what we learn, and this entire surah is a story, a beautiful story with beautiful lessons for us to take for the rest of our lives, lifelong lessons. And the final lesson, the beauty of and the importance of forgiveness and moving on, not to hold on to grudges, not to nourish grief. This is what we saw. Yes, you will remember. So from that recap and as a result of yesterday's lesson, I'd like you to reflect and share with the rest of the class, either by calling in or writing in, what you did yesterday as homework from this, what you did for homework. How did you implement these noble verses of the Noble Quran into your life? What did you do in reflection to these verses? Again, we've said it many a time, it's important that we digest. So what did you all do as I continue with this introduction? So we saw not to hold on to grudges, not to nourish grief, because grief does not let us progress. Constantly looking in the rear window, rear mirror, is going to cause further accidents and crashes. We need to look ahead when we're driving our vehicle of life. Again, somewhat easy to say and not always easy to apply, but may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us this patience and endurance and allow us this application of the verses that we learn, inshallah. I am waiting for your answers, how you applied the verses of the Noble Quran into your life. From the lesson we learned yesterday, what did you practically do? You forgive and forget, good character, okay, but what did you do? And Sister Faheen, you gave us an example last week, but what did you do from yesterday's lesson? Did any of you practically carry it out? If so, what did you do, please? So to use the past, can we look at the past is the other question. And yes, the answer is yes. Again, the rear mirror in the car is there for a reason, to look so that you know when you're reversing, to know what's coming behind you, to learn before you take that turn, yes? So again, past for us is a learning curve. We use the past as a learning curve, but not to dwell upon and lose the present. Losing the present time, it's precious and is a loss for us. So to use the past as a learning curve and not to dwell upon it, but to use the past as a learning curve, not to dwell upon it and lose the present as a result of that dwelling. Okay, so what I'm trying to get at when I'm asking you what you did from yesterday was that you had homework. Homework was to call or message someone who is cross with you, or you have a niggle about, you feel a slight cringe, you're upset with. Yes? So did you do that? Homework was to call or message someone who is cross with you or you are upset with. And how many of you did that? Write R for ring or text if you did do that. Sisters, Maya, can you tell me in the WhatsApp group if you are writing, because I don't see any writing coming from any of you at the moment. So I'm not sure whether it's the Mixler that's playing up or whether it's just you not writing. Continuing on, what else did we see? We saw how to forgive and be kind to those who are grumpy. To forgive and to be kind to those who are grumpy. Excellent. So Sister Maya is telling us that she telephoned somebody. Yes? Oh, you text somebody. T for text. Good. Okay. Good. What about the rest of you in the group? What did you do as active action from this lesson from yesterday? Really important that we do actively pursue the lessons, the ayahs. Forgive and be kind to those who are grumpy. This action of forgiving, what do you think the result's going to be? It's a question for everyone. What is the result of forgiving other people? I did mention some yesterday, but you tell me. How do you feel after sending that text? For example, if we take Sister Maya again, after sending that text, how did you feel? So what is this action going to lead to? Quickly, so we can carry on and go into our new part today. Excellent. Contentment of the heart. Well done. You feel lighter, so much more relaxed that you've done your bit. You're trying, yes? Well done. Contentment of the heart. What about the rest of you in the group? Please write in your answers. This action of forgiving will act like a duster. like a duster and make our hearts shine like glass, subhanallah, shine like glass, allowing the light of the noble Quran to glow, subhanallah. This is the nur of the Quran. We need to have a clean heart for the nur, for the light of the Quran to enter. Good mental health and good in the heart. Excellent, Sister Jusna. Yes, exactly. You feel good, no worries. You feel good, relaxed that you have tried, you've said apologies, you've made up with somebody who's distressed with you. Yes? So continuing on, inshallah, after absorbing, reflecting, and implementing our previous nourishment of the soul from our previous lesson, we will begin today's lesson. But I just want to share some more of your feelings. And also, if you didn't do anything, write nothing. Alhamdulillah, okay, all your answers have just come in suddenly. I think I'm also having internet issues today. So let's see. They were all blocked. I didn't get any of them first. Nobody is upset with me and I am not upset with anyone, says one of you. Okay. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. What's before? Try not to remember it exactly. The sister who said nobody is upset with me and I'm not upset with anyone is good, but it doesn't sound realistic. Just dig deep. Just think about someone. But hopefully that is accurate and excellent news. But another sister saying, try not to remember and forgive them and clean my heart. Good, excellent. The other thing is that when we clean our heart, we looked at something yesterday, that when we say we forgive someone, it's important that we do forgive, we move on and don't repeat what happened. Because when we repeat, keep mentioning it again, it doesn't mean that we've truly forgiven them. Take all grudges out and forgive anyone, everyone. Okay, good. Humbleness. It's important that we don't repeat the incident with anyone either then. Because if we are repeating, but guess what happened? Oh, let me just tell you what happened. You know what she did to me? You know what she said? It means that you've not got rid of it. It means you may say from the lip service that you've forgiven and forgotten, but you haven't actually deep-rootedly you haven't removed it, you haven't got rid of it. So yes, excellent. One sister saying she rang someone, good. Another sister saying you get peace of mind, humbleness. I went to someone's at the weekend. She was happy. She came over on Tuesday with her kids. Okay, alhamdulillah. Forgive and forget, exactly. So now let's look at today's lesson. More food for thought, inshallah. The beautiful story of Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam continues from verse 77, in which the 10 brothers accuse Yusuf alayhi salam of theft. Yes, Yusuf alayhi salam is accused of theft. Before we look at the verses and look at the explanation, I want you to pause for a second and think. I want you to just think and just imagine this situation. You're in your home, you're sitting there. Should we say you've gone to your family home, extended family, where your parents, where you grew up possibly. And one of your siblings, or a few of your siblings, get together and say something untoward about your childhood. Remember, in front of everybody, say in front of your children and your husband, your family, remember when you did so and so. Remember when you did this. Remember when you stole something or broke something or you lied or you cheated. Astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. This is what's being said to Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. On hearing this, I want you to think and write down in your notes how you would react. What would your response be? What would you say? How would you feel? What would you do? Okay, again, we need to put ourselves in the picture, okay, before we just carry on listening to this story. Again, we've had the story many, many times. We've heard it. We know it inside out, to be fair. Yes, I don't think there's any of you sitting out there who doesn't know this story of Yusuf alayhi salam. You know every stage, you know every chapter. But what do I learn from this? So Yusuf alayhi salam is being accused of being a thief, of theft, that he did theft when he was a child. What did he do? Did he explode? Question arises. So let's see. Verse 77. Verse 77, we will start with the recitation, inshallah.
من وجد في رحله فهو جزاؤه كذلك نجزي الظالمين فبدأ بأوعيتهم قبل وعاء أخيه ثم استخرجها من وعاء أخيه كذلك كدنا ليوسف ما كان ليأخذ أخاه في دين الملك إلا أن يشاء الله نرفع درجات من نشاء وفوق كل ذي علم عليم قالوا إن يسرق فقد سرق أخ له من قبل فأسرها يوسف في نفسه ولم يبدها لهم قال أنتم شر مكانا والله أعلم بما تصفون قال
I ask for Allah's protection from shaitan. I begin in the name of Allah, who is most kind and most merciful. They, Yusuf's brothers said, if he steals, there was a brother of his, Yusuf, who did steal. In fact, I'll go back to verse 76 from yesterday when we had how they found the bowl in that bag. Okay, verse 76. So he, Yusuf alayhi salam, began the search in their bags before the bag of his brother. So he actually did the search as we saw yesterday and finally went to the bag of Benjamin. Then he brought it out of his brother's bag. Thus did we plan for Yusuf. He could not take his brother by the law of the king, except that Allah willed it. So Allah made the brothers to bind themselves with their way of punishment, enslaving of a thief. We raise to degrees whom we will, but overall all those endowed with knowledge is the all-knowing Allah. So here we saw how the bowl was found in the bag of brother Benjamin, and how Yusuf alayhi salam, with his hikmah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him announce from the brothers' mouths, from them themselves, the punishment for such a crime. He could not captive any of the brothers. He could not keep Benjamin as he wanted to by the law of Egypt, but by the law of the religious law that they followed, the law of Ibrahim alayhi salam. They knew that this was the right punishment, that if somebody did wrong, they would be captured. If they stole, they would be captured and kept behind. And he had them announce this. So now continuing, Yusuf's brothers said, if he steals, so now they see that this has been found, the bowl has been found in Benjamin's bag. What's their response? If he steals, there was a brother of his who did steal before him. Who are they referring to? Who do they mean? So go on. Who do they mean? Oh, if he steals, there was a brother of his who did steal before him. But these things did Yusuf keep in himself, revealing not the secrets to them. He said within himself, you are in worst case, and Allah is the best knower of that which you describe. Allahu Akbar. Yusuf alayhi salam, exactly. Who are they referring to? So he understands. He's understood that they're referring to him. And this is the scenario I was describing to all of you before. How would you feel? How would you feel? What would have been your response? And I'm waiting for your answers. Verse 77, Yusuf alayhi salam is being accused openly in front of everyone. They're saying, on seeing the king's bowl that is being found and taken from Benjamin's back, they said, if he steals, there was a brother, meaning Yusuf alayhi salam, of his who did steal before. Upset, exactly, Sister Farah, thank you. There was a brother of his who did steal before. They tried to show themselves as free from sin. We're really good. We're pure. We're clean. We're innocent. They tried to prove themselves as innocent from anything like Benjamin, from anything that Benjamin had done. And at the same time, they accused Yusuf alayhi salam. I wouldn't be happy, okay? You'd get angry, okay? But what does Yusuf alayhi salam teach us? What does the Quran tell us to do? And we've already done the verse which says, repress your anger. Remember? Repress your anger. And again, nobody's going to be angry when you're having a good time, when you're happy, everything's going well. These are the testing times when we need to repress our anger. Before you would get angry, but now you would be calm. Okay, good. Alhamdulillah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us this endurance from these lessons, inshallah. Give us this patience. They tried to show themselves as innocent, yes, and accuse Yusuf alayhi salam of stealing beforehand. When as a child, why were they accusing their little brother Yusuf alayhi salam for stealing? Because he would take leftover bread to feed either the birds or the animals in the home, for which he is being accused of this theft. Allahu Akbar. So again, just imagine this scene and describe how Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam would have felt. What do we learn? For you and I, what would we do in the scenario that I described before? Would we have remained silent as he did? Question arises. Or would we have exploded if my own brothers or sisters had called me a thief? Just write that down. Would I have remained, I dictate, would I have remained silent or exploded if my brothers and sisters had called me a thief? Hence, Prophet Yusuf is teaching us how to control emotions, how not to become aggressive or reactionary instantly. Slightest show of a glowing flame, yes? There's just a glow of a flame and we blast into a big inferno. Yes? How do we behave? So if anything like this happens, what are we going to take home from this? He kept his emotions and reactions in control. Yes? He kept his emotions and reactions in control. He didn't light up at the sight of a match. Yusuf alayhi salam is being accused of stealing, but he employed wisdom. I'd like you to write these key words that we're going to remember, inshallah, and have them close to ourselves. So he employed wisdom, tolerance, and patience to withstand the brothers' allegations, and that's what's required. Not one without the other will not be adequate. We all want wisdom. So we all think we're dealing with it we're all dealing with it with wisdom. We're all dealing with it wisely, but everyone's levels of wisdom will be different. One will say something and think, yes, I told her. Oh yeah, I gave it all back to her. Oh yeah, come home and you're telling everyone, oh yeah, and guess what? So-and-so said today. And guess what I said? I told her my mind as well. I didn't let her take it, I didn't leave it at that. No, and that is not wisdom. But maybe at that time, for you and I, might have seemed correct, although we know it's not. So the other thing we need to employ Not just wisdom, but tolerance. How tolerant am I? Is it zero tolerance? How dare you say something? How dare you bring up the past? How dare this and how dare that? Right, now that you've mentioned it, you wanted all my family to know, right? You were, remember when you did that? So how do I react? Do I retaliate with worse? Do I stoop down to the same level and fire back with something of her past or his past? Yeah, okay, I did this, but what about you? You did that. I stole, but you killed, astaghfirullah. To that level, we always want to bring one higher up, one worse than the one that's been mentioned. So here, he is tolerant. How tolerant am I? How tolerant am I? Question arises on the tolerance meter. How tolerant am I? 0 to 10. Am I tolerant when somebody does try to blank me? Blank. Do I fire back? Irrelevant. True. But this is not just what other people think. Somebody is saying something to you and blanking you of something that may have happened in the past. Okay. So somebody's given a score. So the blank, what is the blank? What are they trying to do? Provoke. Okay. So when someone is provoking us, how do we behave? How tolerant are we? Are we able to walk away gracefully? And think of ourselves. If you see dog muck on the footpath and you're walking down the street, yes, you've gone for a stroll and you've seen this. What do? Common sense, common knowledge, wisdom tells us to walk away. Yes? Nobody puts a foot in it. So again, in conversations, don't put your foot in it. Okay? In conflicting situations, avoid conflict is the key to conflict resolution. Okay? Deal with tolerance and patience. This is what he employed, Yusuf alayhi salam. He employed wisdom, 1, tolerance, and patience to withstand the brother's allegations. He was hurt, obviously. How now? What makes you and I think he was hurt? How do we know he was hurt? From verse 77, you tell me. He was hurt. He was hurt, obviously, but how do we know? But he did not show it. He did not show it. How do we know this from verse 77? When it's neither will try not to, okay? So quickly, can we tell from verse 77 that he's upset, Yusuf alayhi salam? And if so, how? What are the words of the verse? So yes, we do know. He said within himself, excellent, Sister Zaina, thank you. He mumbled this. Sister Maya. He mumbled it to himself. So here we have next part, verse 77. But these things did Yusuf alayhi salam keep in himself. Keep in himself. But these things did Yusuf alayhi salam keep in himself, revealing not the secrets to them. He said within himself, you are in worst case, and Allah is the best knower of that which you describe. Exactly. Thank you, Sister Nasreen and Sister Zarina. All of you are correct. That he kept it to himself. In other words, he did not let, Yusuf alayhi salam did not let it be known of his feelings. He did not utter it aloud, but said it to himself, that you are in an evil situation, worst case scenario, but remains extremely patient, doesn't let on to them. And usually what happens if you do let on to the opposite side, that you've been upset and hurt, what happens then? They are happy. That was the aim. So you have actually lost and you've let them win the situation. Keeping calm and keeping in control showing no reaction, and not flying off the handle and exploding gives you the one up. Yes? They are happy, exactly. Worst case scenario, but remains extremely patient. Okay? He knows, and he keeps it himself. He doesn't let them know, revealing not the secrets to them. This, we'll come to this, touch this point again later, but not to give your secrets away. There's the course that's running at the moment with Ustaza in the late afternoon, early evening, 4 o'clock till 6. And I think many of you are listening to it. Don't Be Sad series. In that, we heard something that what happens, what is the situation when we don't keep these secrets? He kept it in himself, revealing not the secrets to them. Because when we reveal secrets to the other side, they could be sad secrets, they could be happy secrets. Okay? If it's a happy secret, your friends, or not so friends, should I say, your enemy is going to be happy with you. If it's a good secret, are they going to be happy with you? And vice versa, your relatives, the people that you can trust and love you, are they going to be happy? Possibly, but the enemies are definitely not. In that course, we've learned that when you share things, they're of two types, aren't they? If it's bad news, your enemy will glee. No, evil eyes, exactly. And we looked at this briefly yesterday as well in a different light. But the enemy will be gleeful, will be happy. Oh, right, about time. Flips, oh, yes. I'm glad she's got something to cry about now. Have you heard her? Now that she's got this problem, have you seen her face? So they're going to be relieved, should I say? Or, oh, yes. It's as if enemies will glee from the inside. Exactly. Not always inside even, Sister Farah. It can be visible and it can be commented and said, oh, right. Oh, but you normally say, do somewhere and what's happened to you now, etc. Sisters, they will be happy. They will glee. So is it worth sharing it with them? They've won. You've given them a win-win situation by showing them that you're in distress, you're in trouble, you're upset. And if you share your sad, worrying news with somebody who really and truly cares about you, and that would be your parents, possibly older siblings, possibly, but is it worth it? What are you doing to them then? You're going to put them in distress. Parents will feel saddened and upset that you're going through a tough time, whatever it may be. The best thing to do, we will see later, so I'm not going to go into it too much, would be what? And I'll leave it on that cliffhanger for you to think till we get to the answer later on today, inshallah. So here, Yusuf alayhi salam keeps it in himself, revealing not the secrets to them. So what do we learn in a nutshell then about secrets? About secrets, what do we learn in one go here? What do we learn? We will listen to verse 77 again, and I want you to reflect and pick out the words that you are familiar with. Thank you. Sister Zarina's actually given me the answer. I was only going to let you listen, but we'll see. Don't reveal exactly. Don't share secrets. A secret is no longer a secret is no longer a secret once it leaves your lips. Allahu Akbar. Don't tell anyone. Good news, keep it. Thank the Lord. Sad news, keep it. Ask the Lord. Okay? Solution for both. Good news, thank Him. Bad news, ask for relief from Him. So now, we'll listen to recitation in a second. Now that you've given me the answers, we'll carry on. The same brothers who in one breath are calling Yusuf alayhi salam blank. What are they calling him? The same brothers who are calling Yusuf alayhi salam blank address him in the next verse as O Aziz. In the next sentence, they're saying, O Aziz of the land. And this is human nature, to be disliking one minute and admiring one in the next. Admiring, disliking one person in 1 minute. To the left side, you think, oh, have you heard? And then she walks in and you turn around and smile, oh, lovely to see you. Astaghfirullah. This is what they're doing. They've called him a thief, not knowing that Yusuf alayhi salam is standing right before them. Remember this, you're all with me, aren't you? That Yusuf alayhi salam has still not announced to them that he is Yusuf. Okay, they're not aware. Hence them calling him a thief. That he, and again they're implying it, they've not said his name, they just said that Benjamin, he had a brother as well, and he was a thief. Allahu Akbar. And now in the next verse, what do they call him? They turn around and they say, oh, ruler of the land, oh, Aziz, Ya Aziz. Verse 78. They turn around and say, Ya Aziz. Verily he has, right, sorry. So now they're requesting. So let's listen to the recitation and then look at the translation, inshallah.
من نشاء وفوق كل ذي علم عليم قالوا إن يسرق فقد سرق أخ له من قبل فأسرها يوسف في نفسه ولم يبدها لهم قال أنتم شر مكانا والله أعلم بما تصفون قالوا يا أيها العزيز إن له أبا شيخا كبيرا فخذ أحدنا مكانه إنا نراك من المحسنين.
I ask for Allah's protection from shaitan. I begin in the name of Allah, who is most kind and most merciful. They said, O ruler of the land, O Aziz, verily he has an old father. Who has an old father? Verily he has an old father who will grieve for him. So take one of us in his place. Indeed, we think that you are one of the muhsinin. Few points to note from verse 78. Verse 78, and throughout today's lesson, we will see again a few times how they use this preposition for father. His father, your father. He has a father. And yet it's their father, is it not? So if they were loving and caring, so who is this he? As it is Benjamin, well done. But if they were caring and loving and showed affection towards their father, they would automatically have said, verily, our father is old. Yes? So do you see the approach there, disrespect, a lack of affection? And we will see this again later too. They said, we'll see this in verse 80 and then again further on. They said, O ruler of the land, verily he has an old father who will grieve for him. So take one of us in his place. Indeed, we think that you are one of the good doers, the muhsinin. Yusuf alayhi salam's brothers are now offering one of them to be taken instead of Benjamin. Instead of Benjamin as a slave, they are now offering themselves. What happens? What happens? Sorry, let's just look at this. Why are they offering themselves? Because now they're worried. They swore this oath with their father. They said they would bring him back. They were only just about managing to get exemption, to get request of leave to bring him out in the first place after what they'd done to Yusuf alayhi salam. So now, once it was decided that Benjamin was to be taken and kept with Yusuf alayhi salam, according to the law, they had to stick by. They are now struggling. So Yusuf's brothers started requesting Yusuf alayhi salam. What do they want from Yusuf alayhi salam now? They're now requesting Yusuf alayhi salam for some clemency, for leniency and kindness. Oh, please, they say, please, kindness, please just, take any one of us in his place. and raising compassion in his heart for them. They're trying to touch a nerve with Yusuf, like, please, please make him have mercy on them, make him feel compassionate towards them. They said, oh, sees verily he has an old father who loves him very much and is comforted by his present from the son that he lost. Allahu Akbar. So take one of us in his place. So the son that he lost, who are they referring to? Easy. All these questions are too easy now. Sorry. So take one of us in his place instead of Binyamin to remain with you. Indeed, we think that you are one of the doers of good. Only a moment ago, they were calling him a thief. Allahu Akbar. How people change to please themselves or to suit their needs. As soon as they need something, now they are butchering him up. Yes, they're groveling towards him. They are now saying, oh, we think you're really good, you must say, indeed, we think that you are one of the doers of good. Allahu Akbar. The doers of good, the good doers, you're just, you're fair. So why not take one else out of us instead of Benjamin, who, because he's our father's already, they didn't say our father, but his father has already lost a son. He is very close to this one because he resembles him and he comforts him. He feels like as if he is him or close to him. So what happens? Allahu Akbar. Despite what they think of him earlier, they consider Yusuf alayhi salam now to be a good doer. How the tables turn when one wants something. They now see him as a muhsin again. Wow. Allahu Akbar. They now see him as a muhsin again, as a good doer. Ihsan seems to be entwined in the nature of Yusuf alayhi salam. We looked at this in depth a few lessons ago. How Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam is a muhsin. And now they are recognizing this and acknowledging this. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings the truth of his nature of Yusuf alayhi salam to the surface for people to know. And Yusuf alayhi salam's nature, we saw, character was beautiful. Hence, Yusuf alayhi salam was beautiful both on the inside and the outside. And this is what we looked at the start of today's lesson. When we have a clean heart, when we forgive and forget, we will beautify our images, both inside and outside. And something I want to share with you, and I was reflecting on this yesterday, that when we finished Surah Tawbah, I did say something to the effect that, and I have been saying it for a few years now, in our Ramadan programs as well, that if we're not going to do Tawbah on studying Surah Tawbah, then when truly are we going to do Tawbah? And in a similar way now, I want to say, if we're not going to beautify our characters, our natures, our insides on studying this beautiful story of a beautiful prophet, the story and surah of Yusuf alayhi salam, then when are we going to beautify ourselves? Our beautification, we think and consider, is going to the parlor, is going to the beautician and having an all-over, a facial, etc., a makeover. These are not beautifying our inners. Yes, when we beautify our inners, when we remove those big black spots, those minor spots, those minor black spots on our face will diminish too. Allahu Akbar. We leave the black spots of rust and sin on our hearts, and we want our faces to shine with bleach creams, etc., and foundation. The dearer, the better. We need to work on our inside for it to come to the surface and shine on the outside. And the example that comes to mind is fever. When we have fever or a child has fever, it's visible from the signs on them, the fever, the sweat, the redness, glowing cheeks, etc. In the same way, ihsan and goodness inside will glow on the outside. Subhanallah. So here, ihsan of Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam is being mentioned and is visible to the brothers. Despite them having called him a thief earlier, they are acknowledging his quality, that we know, we think that you are one of the good ones. We think that you are one of the good doers at the end of verse 78. Allahu Akbar. Okay. At the end of verse 78, they are saying to him that you are one of the good doers. And something else we learn here is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings it to the surface, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it known to the people what people are like. Okay? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings the truth to the surface, makes it known to the people of their true colors, of their true qualities. So let's see. Well, firstly, I'm going to ask you, what are they asking for? What are they asking for? And the question is, does Yusuf alayhi salam waiver the legislation as he feels for his father? Is he feeling sad for his father and thinks, yes, my father will be sad, if I keep Benjamin, not a good idea, what should I do? Does he then buckle at their command? Does he waiver the legislation? Does he feel sorry for his brothers? Despite how he may have felt, he did not bend or break the rules. That's what we see. Okay? That's the lesson we learn. Despite how he may have felt, he did not bend or break the rules. Verse 78. They said, O ruler of the land, verily he has an old father. He has an old father who will grieve. Oh, sorry. Okay, I've done that one. So I'm going on to verse 79 now. He did not break the rules. So I'm going to go from 78 and 79 again together, sorry. They said, O ruler of the land, verily he has an old father who will grieve for him. So take one of us in his place. Indeed, we think you are one of the Muhsinin. So they're requesting what? To take one of them. Exactly, Sister Amboli. No, Yusuf doesn't. Thank you. He said, Allah forbid that we should take anyone but him. But him meaning Benjamin, with whom we found our property. Indeed, if we did so, we should be the wrongdoers. Subhanallah. No way, he said. So verse 79 tells us, despite them saying what they are, despite him feeling how he did not bend or break the rules. He said, Allah forbid that we should take anyone but him with whom we found our property. With whom we found our property. Verse 79, indeed, we should be of the wrongdoers. In other words, no way can we punish anyone other than the one who has been proven guilty. So Yusuf alayhi salam is seen here as a man of principle. Yes? So we see Yusuf alayhi salam as being a man of principle. Rules are rules, he's saying. Yes? He didn't break the rules. He didn't show favoritism. He didn't show favoritism to his brothers or his father in the fact that if it's a rule, it's set, it's announced, then it has to be abided by. Is there favoritism? Question for all of you. Is favoritism allowed? Let's say it that way. Is favoritism allowed? Is favoritism allowed in Islam? Sadly to say today, we, people of rules, don't like rules. Yes? Rules are rules, but we love to break them. We today are not content unless rules are broken. Our frame of mind for rules is this. I tried to do a little rhyme for you, but I'm not sure if it's going to take off. We'll see. But this is our, as a society, as a nation, our frame of mind on rules. We as a nation love rule creation. The rules are not for you or I, but for everyone else under this sky. Am I right? We love rules, we love making rules, but we hate abiding by them. We hate abiding by them. And who do we think these rules are for? For everyone else but me. Astaghfirullah. Yusuf alayhi salam shows he's a man of word. He's a man of word and he sticks to his word. He says, no, we cannot keep captive any innocent person. It doesn't make sense. Why should we keep somebody who hasn't stolen? We cannot keep captive any innocent person whilst allowing the thief to leave freely. Okay? And if we do that, then it's wrong. So we would be of the wrongdoers, as is the confirmation at the end of verse 79. We should be of the zalimeen, says Yusuf alayhi salam. How can we keep someone who's not stolen? Then we would be of the wrongdoers if we capture one who is not guilty. That is something wrong. Okay. Verse now 79 and 80. We'll listen to the recitation of together.
قال معاذ الله أن نأخذ إلا من وجدنا متاعنا عنده إنا إذا لظالمون فلما استيئسوا منه خلصوا نجيا قال كبيرهم ألم تعلموا أن أباكم قد أخذ عليكم موثقا من الله ومن قبل ما فرطتم في يوسف فلن أبرح الأرض حتى يأذن لي أبي أو يحكم الله لي وهو خير الحاكمين.
I ask for Allah's protection from shaitan. I begin in the name of Allah, who is most kind and most merciful. Verse 80. So when they despaired of him, they held a conference in private. The eldest among them said, know you not that your father did take an oath from you in Allah's name? And before this you did fall in your duty with Yusuf? So he's reminding them, therefore I will not leave this land until my father permits me, or Allah decides my case by releasing Benjamin, and he is the best of the judges. So let's just reflect on this sequence of events. What's happening? What's happened? Yusuf alayhi salam has retained their brother Benjamin. All the brothers were ready to leave. But now, brother Benjamin has been accused of the king's bow being stolen, and they can't change the situation. They know the law, they've heard the law, they've heard the decision, and they can't change. So who is in a panic state now? Who is worried? Who's worrying about this? Who's fretting, should I say? Who's scared to go back to the father and explain that this has happened? And before I carry on, there's a small bridge here that I'd like to elaborate on if I can. Not the right answer. Not the right answer. So who's worried? Okay, more so then. More so, should I say. You're all giving. Okay, the brothers are worried, but no, I was thinking more so. Let's see, I'm waiting for your answer. And the bridge I want to elaborate on is how scenarios can change, how things can change. Sometimes we do out of choice. We'll come back to the question in a minute. Okay. Sometimes we do something. So if you listen to this now, we'll address that question in a minute. You've not given me the correct answer, but we'll come back to that. sometimes we do something out of choice. And then what happens is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes us do without a choice. Makes us do the same thing without a choice. So this is what's happening here, isn't it? Why do I say this? Because first time the brothers left Yusuf alayhi salam in the well through their own choice and desire. They wanted to do that. Yes. They said to the father, we will take him to play and we will look after him. And then they wanted to throw him. They planned already not to kill him, but to throw him in the well, you remember? And then went back to the father with a story. So first time they'd done it through their own choice. Then now we see this situation. The second time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is making them have to leave Benjamin without a choice. How does this apply to you and I? How many times do we think we won't do something? And we could have done it. And then comes a situation when we want to do it and we cannot do it. So again, let's break it down a bit further. It could be salah, it could be Quran reading, it could be coming to class. How many of us on a Tuesday morning decide not to come to the live class? How many of us on a Tuesday morning decide not to come to the live class? It's all online, says she. Says that in enough, says the whispers of shaitan. True it is. I've been there, done it. It's all online, or I'll just have a little lie-in. I'll listen to it in a bit. It's all online anyway. I can hear it later on. Come on, just have a longer sleep. Have a rest. Or just wash up and tidy up and be organized. And I'll listen to it later. And then at least I've done all my jobs. Yes? How many times we decide not to come to the live class? We'll do it later at my own convenience. And then come Wednesday and Thursday. Such a scenario occurs. Such a scenario will arise. Such a situation, in other words, something happens so much that you just can't do it. You just can't attend the live class. Such a situation arises that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make us miss class without any choice. Without any choice. So now do you see how that first equation fits? That sometimes we do out of choice, number one, A, and B, and then later on, B, later on, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes us do without a choice. We don't have any choice and the same result happens. So, take heed from this. Now that Benjamin is not accompanying them, they've got no choice. But now they've got to return to the same father and give them this news. Excellent. Sister Maya will be coming to that later. It's not here. First time it was a lie, and this time it actually happened exactly. We'll be looking at that in depth later on, inshallah. So well done. But I asked you a question. I said, who's more so worried? Who's worried in verse 80? So I'm going to read verse 80 again and see if you can give me the answer this time. So when they despaired of him, they held a conference in private. Despaired of him being Benjamin, they're upset that he's not going to come with them. The eldest among them said, Know you not that your father did take an oath from you in Allah's name? And before this you did fail in your duty with Joseph, with Yusuf alayhi salam. Therefore I will not leave this land until my father permits me, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decides my case, releasing Benjamin, and he is the best of the judges. Well done, Sister Nasreen. Jazakallah khair. Well done. Yehuda, Judah, exactly, the eldest. Any of those three answers would have been correct. Yehuda, Judah, or the eldest one. Do you see now? It wasn't all the brothers who's more worried. He is now saying that I'm not going to go back, in other words. Verse 80, when they despaired, As all else failed, they decide to have this private meeting now, emergency consultation, a private consultation in which the eldest brother, namely Judah, comes up with an idea, a plan. Firstly, what does he do in this verse? He reminds them. Reminds them of what? You tell me. He reminds them of something. What's he reminding them of? Quickly. Firstly, he reminds them of something. What is it? And then, that's not, it's partial answer, but it's not the entire correct answer. The promise, thank you to Sister Justna. Sister Justna said, and Sister Nasreen, the father's oath, exactly. Firstly, he reminds them of their oath in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with their father. Again, we see their lack of affection with their father. How do we see this in verse 80? When he says, know you not that your father? If we love someone, is that your father, not his father? Of course. But his approach is again distant. Again highlighting his disrespect and lack of affection for his father by saying your father. And he's reminding them all. He's reminding them all of the previous sin. He's reminding them of the ill-fated practice they did with the previous brother, namely Yusuf alayhi salam. Yes? Allahu Akbar. Namely Yusuf alayhi salam. Therefore, as a result of their previous history, Judah feels reluctant to go back now. Does that make sense? He says, your father, know your father. So first he reminds them of the oath with your father. But ideally, he should have said, our father. Remember when we made, it would have been, remember, know you, remember when we made the oath with our dad, with our father? Before this, we did the same in our duty to Yusuf. So he reminds them of this incident. And now, as a result, he says, therefore, I will not leave this land until my father permits me, or Allah decides my case by releasing Benjamin, and he is the best of judges. So either Yusuf alayhi salam, or either some situation arises in which Benjamin is released and I will go with you, or my father gives me permission that, yes, come back without your younger brother. Allahu Akbar. I will not leave this land. So what is he doing here now? What do we see in verse 80? He's correct. Yes? Because he's correct now. Because when they were wrong, none of them, when they had actually thrown Yusuf alayhi salam in the well, none of them then were worried about what they were going to go back to say to their dad. But because they've not done anything wrong, he stuck to his ground because he was correct. And now they're turning, he turns to Allah and he says that Allah is the best of the judges. None of them remembered this, that Allah was the best of the judges when Yusuf was thrown in the well. Allahu Akbar. You see? Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. So now, what do we see? What a painful scenario. Not just one son, Yusuf, but then the second, Benjamin, and now the third, Judah. Insult to injury. How the situation worsens for Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam. And the eldest gives instructions on how to deal with this situation in the following verses. So let's listen to these verses together, inshallah. Allahu Akbar. And again, reflect and think of the situation and the scenario and how Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam was anyway, and how is he going to be on hearing the news of two more children not returning.
إنا إذا لظالمون
Verse 8 onwards.
فلما استيئسوا منه خلصوا نجيا قال كبيرهم ألم تعلموا أن أباكم قد أخذ عليكم موثقا من الله ومن قبل ما فرطتم في يوسف فلن أبرح الأرض حتى يأذن لي أبي أو يحكم الله لي وهو خير الحاكمين ارجعوا إلى أبيكم فقولوا يا أبانا إن ابنك سرق وما شهدنا إلا بما علمنا وما أبرح الأرض حتى يأذن لي أبي أو يحكم الله لي وهو خير الحاكمين ارجعوا إلى أبيكم فقولوا يا أبانا إن ابنك سرق وما شهدنا إلا بما علمنا وما شهدنا إلا بما علمنا وما كنا للغيب حافظين واسأل القرية التي كنا فيها والعير التي أقبلنا فيها وإنا لصادقون.
I ask for Allah's protection from shaitan. I begin in the name of Allah who is most kind and most merciful. So Judah gives advice to the other brothers. Return to your father and say, "Oh, our father." So again, here we see what's he saying? Your father. Yes? Return to your father and say, "Oh, our father, verily your son Benjamin has stolen. And we testify not except according to what we know, and we could not know the unseen. And as the people of the town where we have been, the caravan in which we returned, and indeed we are telling the truth." Allahu Akbar. This time, because they know they are innocent, because they know they are correct, because they know they've done nothing wrong, how they are presenting their case. They're making every effort to prove their innocence. Allahu Akbar. They're making every effort to prove their innocence by presenting witnesses from the caravan, from the people of the town, from those around them. Ask them, look, come on, look, she was with me, check. This is what we do, isn't it? And we know we're right, we don't have anybody to check. Just ask her, ask the children. Sorry I'm late, darling, but we were stuck in traffic. But yes, ask the kids, go on. Not saying that we left late in the first place. Yes? And what is the attitude? So this is the approach one takes when one is correct. When they have a leg to stand on, in other words. They'll argue their case. Okay? But what is the approach when one doesn't have a leg to stand on? Here they're trying to prove the brothers are trying to prove their innocence. He's giving them suggestions like, this is what you're going to do when you go back. Return to your father and say this, "Oh, our father, he was stealing, and we have a valid reason that we saw this, and this is all that we can say is what we know. And look, you can ask the people of the town who were there and those who've been in the caravan and who were with us in the sea in which we returned." And indeed, and now again, we've seen this many, many times in our study, that one then has to say that, yes, we are honestly, I'm telling the truth. And again, they're doing this as well, in which we return, and indeed we are telling the truth. Why? Because they have said what Sister Maya said earlier, because they have broken their trust with their father, because they have said the falsehood earlier, they lied before. So now they feel, and Judah more so being the eldest has this knowledge that their father will not trust them. He will not accept what they're saying because of their lies from the past. So this is the attitude of somebody who is innocent. And from before, when they were not innocent, they did not give any of these justifications. Allahu Akbar. So what is the attitude of those, the attitude of those who are wrong? What is their attitude? I ask you. How would they react? If somebody is wrong, okay, if somebody is wrong, say on the instance when they threw Yusuf alayhi salam in the well, if they'd been asked all these questions, if they feel guilty, then feel guilty, true, but how does it come up to the surface? How does it come to the surface? So if you're innocent and the traffic was really bad, but you left in plenty of time, you will say your bit and move on, okay? But if you've left late and then one that is giving your argument to questions you, what time did you leave? Yes? What happens then? What happens then? So let's present this case now. You are meant to be home for 5 o'clock with the children, okay? You arrive home at 6:15. You arrive home an hour and 15 minutes late, so tempers are high. It's warm anyway, and it gets even hotter. And you say you've been stuck in traffic. One scenario is that all the children nod as well and say, yes, yes, Dad, really, seriously. Oh, it was so hot. When one sign straight away is that everyone will rush to either the washroom or a glass of water if they've been stuck in traffic. True? Okay. The other scenario is that you've left late. You start making excuses, good. But then when he questions you, when your husband questions you, what time did you leave? You go off in a huff. So then you become angry or you start crying. This is what happens. People who are wrong, those who are wrong, they will either become angry or cry or start arguing. Oh, don't ask me. I don't know what time I left. I don't know. I didn't look at the time. I've just told you I've been stuck. So that's the approach. Do you see the opposite? And this, why do we learn this? So that we don't do it for ourselves. And when somebody is doing this, pulling a fast one with us, it gives us an idea, an indicator. When somebody's pulling this fast one with us, you know whether they are telling you the truth or pulling a fast one. Subhanallah, how the Quran teaches us so much wisdom, subhanallah. Allahu Akbar. So let's see what you said. So you don't need to explain, give a vague time if you are guilty. Exactly, you give a vague time or you argue. You don't want to give the time, okay? You make excuses, exactly. So when you're guilty, when those who are wrong will either become angry, will start crying, or argue, don't ask me anything, I don't know, etc. Now, returning back to the story, verse 83. Allahu Akbar. Verse 83, but I don't think, have I done verse 80, 81 and 82? Have I read the translation? I've got lost now, sorry. I'll just read 81, 82 again if I have. I'm not sure if I covered it then. I was given the explanation, I'm not sure if I did it. Verse 81, return to your father. Oh, yes. So he said, return to your father and say, oh, our father, verily your son has stolen. We testify. Exactly, I have done it, yes. And we testify not except according to what we know. We could not know the unseen. And ask the people of the town where we've been and the caravan in which we've returned. And indeed, we are telling the truth. Exactly. Alhamdulillah. Now, verse 83. So now the new scene. The new scene. See how this would make a wonderful play for you and I. Allahu Akbar. So many drop scenes, so many differences of scene and so many different places. They return to, oh, in fact, you tell me. Where do they return? They return to blank. And now the grievous sad news reaches Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam for the second time. Not for the first time, but for a second time. How an old wound is going to be reopened. Allahu Akbar. Sad news reaches Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam and his response. Verse 83. Verse 83. Okay.
قال بل سولت لكم أنفسكم أمرا فصبر جميل عسى الله أن يأتيني بهم جميعا إنه هو العليم الحكيم.
I ask for Allah's protection against shaitan. I begin in the name of Allah, who is most kind and most merciful. He, Yaqub alayhi salam, said, "Nay, but your own selves have beguiled you into something. So patience is most fitting for me. Maybe Allah will bring them back all to me. Truly He only is the all-knowing, the all-wise." So they have gone back home, correctly so. Sisters, you gave me the right answer. I wanted to know the name of the place, and none of you have said as yet. So where have they gone back home? Where is home? Quickly, all of you with me on the story? Yes? And somebody actually said brilliant, so I don't know what the brilliant answer was for, but however. Let's move on. Where is home? You've all said they've gone back to their father, they've gone back home. But where have they gone? What is the name of the place? You're not that rusty. Come on. Excellent. It's the wrong spelling, I think. Was it a typing error? Thank you. Canaan. Thank you. They've gone back to Canaan, to the father. Allahu Akbar. Verse 83. Verse 83. He gives his response, does Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam, of how he will be patient. Allahu Akbar. How he will remain quiet and enduring and show sabr. Nay, he said, nay, but your own selves have beguiled you. So now, again, back to the point that Sister Maya gave earlier, their trust with their father has gone completely. It went out the window years ago when they did the tragedy with Yusuf alayhi salam. You beguiled, your own selves have beguiled you. In other words, what does beguile mean? You have been disillusioned by deception. He did not believe them. And why should he? He didn't believe them for 1 second. The sons had lost their trust with their father, and he doesn't believe them one bit. A liar is never trusted, even when he or she is telling the blank. Please fill in the blank. A liar, once a liar, is always a liar. And that's why it's so important to keep clean our CV, our CRB, our DBS. Keep the tongue clean and pure. Siddiq. If you tell a lie today, no one will ever believe you ever again. One lie will lead to so many other lies. And I remember my mom, and mine personally, my favorite, we cannot withstand lying. I'll withstand a lot of things. I'll withstand many things, especially from children, but lying is something I cannot tolerate and will not accept. Because lying is the root of all evils of society. One lie will lead to many more. I nearly said 1,000 more. Allahu Akbar. It enrages me. Why lie? When we lie, that means we're more afraid of that person who's standing in front of us than our Rabbil Alameen. It leads to shirk. It leads to all sorts of disasters and wrongs. Wrongs of society, wrongs of morale, wrongs of our own ethics. Allahu Akbar. Our own being. Remember the category. There's one category that will be going into Jannah just because they were pure and truthful. The quality that the Prophet ﷺ was known by, the title he was known by was a Sadiq, Abu Bakr Sadiq, the truthful. As-Sadiq was the title given to the Prophet ﷺ. Al-Amin, the trustworthy, and the truthful, As-Sadiq. Lady Maryam is known as the Siddiqa, the truthful. How many people can say that you and I are truthful? If anyone asked about us, would we be getting this verification that 10 out of 10, she is a truthful person? Allahu Akbar. She is a truthful person. Sisters, Watch this tongue. This father has now lost. This is what we learn. Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam has lost the trust with these boys. He doesn't want to believe them. He will not believe them because they are liars. They've lied before, and now he says you're being beguiled. Nay, but your own selves have beguiled you. In other words, you've been deceived by deception. You've been disillusioned by deception. Allah Akbar. He felt it was a repetition. What he really inside felt was that it was a repetition of events, of what they did to Yusuf alayhi salam, how they took Yusuf by deception and then got rid of him. They felt, Yaqub alayhi salam felt this was much the same, that this again was another replay of what they did earlier in time, and how they had taken Yusuf, they have taken now Benjamin on false promises that, no, promise, we really will bring him back, we'll look after him, etc. And now again, they've not brought him. Allahu Akbar. So it's a repetition of events. Allahu Akbar. He said, at the time of sadness, what did he say? At the time of this sad news, he says the same words. He repeats the words, does Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam. He repeats the words that he said at the time of the sad news of Yusuf alayhi salam's partition and demise. Because they told him that he died, hadn't they? Demise. He said the same words, Allahu Akbar, upon receiving the blood-stained shirt of Yusuf alayhi salam. So what were those words? What did Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam say? What did he say, everyone? Sabrun Jameel. So patience is most fitting for me. Patience is best for him. So patience is the best thing I can do. Patience, beauty, Sabrun Jameel, we broke down when we saw this before, yes? When Yusuf alayhi salam was missing, Yaqub alayhi salam had said that I will do Sabrun Jameel in verse 18. And we looked at it then, but let's repeat. Let's go over it again. You tell me then, what is Sabrun Jameel? Literally, word for word, what does it mean? Okay, it's patience. Yaqub alayhi salam said, patience is most fitting for me. In other words, patience suits me best under the circumstances. Okay, but what does it mean word for word? Sabrun, patience. Okay, and Jameel, Jameelan. Quickly, everyone. Jameelan. Allahu Akbar. Some scholars, he said this, that patience is most fitting for me. You're not giving me the wording that I'm looking for. No, not yet. Some scholars say that since this new development came, after what they did before to Yusuf alayhi salam, they were given the same judgment to this later incident that was given to them when they did what they did to Yusuf alayhi salam. Therefore, Yaqub alayhi salam's statement here is befitting. Okay? Thank you, Sister Razia, mashallah. Beautiful, Jamilun. I thought you'd all be familiar with this, and you should all know this now. Come on. Beautiful patience. Thank you. So literally, I wanted it word for word, so it'd be Sabrun Jameel is patience. Beautiful. Okay? If you had it in a test, you would break it down. Sabrun, patience. Jamilun, beautiful. Okay? Nay, but your own selves have beguiled you into something. So patience is most fitting for me, he said. He then begged Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He then turns to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Maybe, he said, maybe Allah will bring them. Who's this them? I've got a bit stuck there now. Who's missing? Who's not come? Benjamin. But why is he saying them? Verse 83. Maybe them. Why is he saying in verse 83 in the middle part that maybe Allah will bring them back all to me? Okay, so who and what is he referring to? Who and what is he referring to? I'm waiting for your answers. He still has hope. Good, excellent, Sister Zarina. Yes. He shows he is a man of optimism and full of hope. Thank you. Sister Farheen is more correct. So, Sister Farheen, can you elaborate how many? I know you two, the first two, Sister Zarina and Sister Nasreen, well done. You've given me the names as well, but it's not the entire answer. Okay. So, who is he saying? When he's Yaqub alayhi salam says, maybe Allah will bring them back all to me, 3 sons. Thank you. Thank you. No, not 2 sons, 3 sons, because the other eldest has stayed behind as well, remember? So finally, Sister Samara's given the answer with all 3 in there. So he is now referring to how many sons? So patience is most fitting for me. Maybe Allah will bring them back all to me, meaning 3 boys, Yusuf alayhi salam, Benjamin alayhi salam, sorry, not alayhi salam, Yusuf alayhi salam, Benjamin and Judah. Thank you. Okay, well done. Only Allah, so he says, maybe Allah will bring them back all to me. Truly only He is the all-knowing, the all-wise. Why? What does he mean by this part of verse 83? That only He, truly He only Allah. What? Why is he saying only Allah here? What is meant by this? So Sister Jusna said both Yusuf and Benjamin. But yes, well done. All 3 of them is correct. So why is he saying only? Allahu Akbar. Only Allah knows my pain and grief. That's what he's describing here. That only Allah knows my pain and grief, and in His decisions and decree and qadr that He appoints. Only Allah knows the reason behind this. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what why this decision has been made. But only Allah knows my agony and anguish at this time. And this is from Ibn Kathir. Hence, he showed a brave face to his lads, despite his pain, deep down inside. Yes, despite his pain deep down inside, which he could not then control. So he controls it in front of them. I will turn to my Lord. But then he turned away from them, as we see in verse 84, and that confirms his sorrow. Allahu Akbar, which he then couldn't control, and said, alas, and he sighs. Verse 84 confirms his sorrow for Yusuf alayhi salam. Allahu Akbar. Sometimes you develop a scab over an injury, okay? You've cut your hand, say you've cut your hand, and you're managing, and it's covered and it's doing well, but then you hit that hand and the cut opens up again. Or as you know, my wrist's been bothering me. The wrist, and subhanallah, how that same wrist at the same place is hit again. What happens? What happens? When you have one injury and then another on top of the same one, what happens? The first one flares up too. Yes, it hurts extremely badly. Yes. Allahu Akbar. He had one pain, and now this anguish of the other 2 boys reminds him of his deep-rooted sorrow for Yusuf alayhi salam in verse 84. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Alas, my grief, Allahu Akbar, he says, for Yusuf. Allahu Akbar. Let's listen to these verses.
وتولى عنهم وقال يا أسفا على يوسف وتولى عنهم وقال يا أسفا على يوسف وقال يا أسفا على يوسف وقال يا أسفا على يوسف وابيضت عيناه من الحزن فهو كظيم.
I ask for Allah's protection from shaitan and begin in the name of Allah who is most kind and most merciful. And he turned away from them and said, Alas, my grief for Yusuf. And he lost his sight because of the sorrow that he was suppressing. He, in front of the boys, tried to hold it back, okay? He said to them, I will be patient, so patience is most fitting for me, and showed optimism. Maybe Allah will bring them back, all of them. But when he was on his own, the pain was there. And he shared his pain only in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When he turned to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he couldn't hold it back. And he said, Alas, my grief for Yusuf, alayhi salam. And he lost his sight. He lost his sight because of the sorrow that he was suppressing. Distress, why alas? Alas, because it's a sign. Pain of distress and anguish, confirming his deep sadness. Allahu Akbar. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prevent us from all such grief. The sadness of his child. And now that he gets news on the same wound of two more, the new grief, losing Benjamin and Judah, renewed his old sadness and again brought the old one to light. Allahu Akbar. The new grief of losing these two boys renewed his old sadness that he kept to himself for this time. He'd kept it for himself for all this time. Allahu Akbar. Scholars say that Sayyid bin Jubair said, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with him, only this nation, the following of the Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam were given istirja. Have you not heard the statement of Yaqub alayhi salam? Alas, my grief for Yusuf, and he lost his sight because of the sorrow that he was suppressing. Yaqub alayhi salam suppressed his sorrow and did not complain to a created being, according to scholars, Qadada and others. Yaqub alayhi salam was sorrowful and sad, but he kept it between him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yaqub alayhi salam was grieved, but Yaqub alayhi salam's children felt pity for him and then said the following verse as we see. But here we see that he suppressed, we see in verse 84, he lost his sight because of the sorrow that he was suppressing. Allahu Akbar. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prevent us from all such sadnesses. Ya Rabbil Alameen, please make it easy for those who have suffered any such pain and sadnesses and losses. Ya Rabbil Alameen, shower your grace and mercy upon all of us and protect us from any burden that we cannot bear. This pain of Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam is now multiplied. It's now multiplied. So now what happens? The boys around him, the family around him become agitated. Why? When they see his sadness. When they hear of this, alas, they are wound up again. They don't like, remember? What was the reason for them removing Yusuf alayhi salam in the first place? They didn't like his love for Yusuf alayhi salam. So now again, when he remembers Yusuf alayhi salam, they become agitated and they don't like it. They said, by Allah, you will never cease remembering Yusuf until you become weak with old age or until you be off the dead. Allahu Akbar. Let's listen to these verses.
قالوا تالله تفتأ تذكر يوسف حتى تكون حرضا أو تكون من الهالكين قال إنما أشكو بثي وحزني إلى الله وأعلم من الله ما لا تعلمون يا بني يذهبوا فتحسسوا من يوسف وأخيه ولا تيأسوا من روح الله إنه لا ييأس من روح الله إلا القوم الكافرون وقال لا تعلمون يا بني يذهبوا فتحسسوا من يوسف وأخيه ولا تيأسوا من روح الله إنه لا ييأس من روح الله إلا القوم الكافرون
I ask for Allah's protection from shaitan. I begin in the name of Allah, who is most kind and most merciful. They said, by Allah, you will never cease remembering Yusuf until you become weak with old age or until you be off the dead. Allahu Akbar. Until your strength leaves you, in other words. You are not going to stop remembering Yusuf. This is winding them up. They didn't like it. Or until you be off the dead. In other words, you continue like this. If you carry on like this, you're going to weaken yourself. You're not eating, you're not drinking, you're not resting properly. We're worried for you. If you continue like this, we fear for you that you might die. You be off the dead, meaning you might die of grief. Allahu Akbar. What did he say? I've highlighted this in my Musaf, and I'd like you to highlight the same, please. Verse 86. Allahu Akbar. This part highlight, and throughout now, what are we seeing? That he is grief-stricken, he is sad, but he turns to Allah. His eyes, as we have been mentioned, his sight has gone. His eyes, the wording here is that his eyes were kadhim, his eyes were red and sore. Bloodshot, in other words, like we say, due to sadness, waiting for that son, crying for that son. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. How he then explains what he's going to do, or what he does, or what he is doing. Verse 86. I only complain of my grief and sorrow for the afflictions that struck me, to Allah alone. Highlight verse 86, please. He said, I only complain of my grief and sorrow to Allah alone. And I know from Allah that which you know not. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. When one knows none but Allah can relieve my pain, this pain of mine is from Allah, and only Allah will put a bandage on this wound. This wound is deep, but only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will fill this wound. And usually with time, it lessens. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lessen the wounds of those who have been afflicted. Ya Rabbil Alameen, protect us all. Shower your grace and mercy upon all of us. Allahu Akbar. Again, with time, how things change, how we may have read this surah some time ago, how are we reading it today? And again, like I said, when we looked at the destructions or the tests or the calamities upon the nations before, we looked at those tests and trials in a different light. But when we looked at them this Ramadan in times of coronavirus and isolation and lockdown, we looked at them in a different way. Ya Rabbil Alameen, remove this grief and sorrow from all. He complains only to Allah. He said, I only complain of my grief and sorrow to Allah. At this point, question for ourselves. Question for ourselves. Who do I complain to of my grief? Do I turn to my Lord in times of grief? Or do I turn to my phone, my WhatsApp, my Facebook, my Twitter and Insta, whatever you want to call it, whatever you do? Do I tell the world before I turn to Allah? When we turn to the world will not cry with us. We will cry alone. And again, going back to what I said earlier, if you tell them something good and they care about you, they'll be saddened for a day or so. If you tell them something sad, if you tell them something sad, I think I said good then. If you tell them something sad, they'll be saddened, the ones who love you, for a day or so. And those who didn't particularly care for you in the first place, you tell them something sad, they'll be about time. So to keep it to ourselves is what we learn here. Only complain of our grief and pain and sorrow to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are the lessons that we learn from Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam. He turned to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahu Akbar. I will only complain to my Allah. Because the family are getting fed up as well, aren't they? The family have said to him, oh gosh, you'll never stop, in verse 85. They said, they being the family. And what do we learn here? The family will be his children, his boys, and their wives and their children possibly, yes? And what did we learn here in the tafsir when we actually did this surah with our teacher? That kids respect the parents. Sorry, if the kids respect the parents, so will their blanks and their blanks. So give me those two blanks, please. If your kids respect you, if your kids respect you, so will their blanks and so will their blanks. What are those two blanks, please? Okay, very important. The family will get fed up. You will never stop remembering Allah until you become weak and old, or you will be nearing death as a result of this. Neither living nor dead, due to grief, in other words. Okay? Your family will not understand the pain, said Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam. I understand, so I only cry to my Lord. Allahu Akbar. Thank you. Sister Samina has given the correct answer. Your kids with respect to you, good. No, but if your kids respect you, and well done, Sister Zarina as well, well done. The two correct answers, mashallah, and Sister Justna, well done. Good, good. Teachers and in-laws, okay, I'm not sure where Maya's on a different wavelength there. So if we have children, if we have offspring, if the kids respect us as parents, when the kids respect the parents, then so do the wives, spouses, husbands of the kids, so the daughter-in-laws and the son-in-laws. So the spouses of our kids will respect us as parents, as will their children. Allah Akbar. No, it's not, you're right. So that's how it is. Allahu Akbar. And this now is reflected in the household of Yaqub alayhi salam. You don't stop remembering him. But he knows that this pain can only be relieved from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I know from Allah that which you know not, is the end of verse 86. In other words, I anticipate from Allah each and every type of goodness. Scholar Ibn Abbas commented on the meaning of this, that I know from Allah that which you know not, that the vision that Yusuf alayhi salam had. So what's he referring to? The dream of Yusuf alayhi salam. Remember? None of the boys, none of the brothers know that dream that we started the story with in the beginning. The story of Yusuf alayhi salam's dream when he said that, Father, oh, my father, verily I saw a dream, 11 stars and the sun and the moon. I saw them prostrating themselves to me. And the father, Yaqub alayhi salam, had said, O my son, relate not your vision to your brothers, remember? Unless they should arrange a plot against you. Verily Shaitan is to man an open enemy. Allahu Akbar. So despite him not sharing the dream, they still did a plot, and Shaitan was an open enemy, and they still arranged a plot against Yusuf, subhanallah. So how the father knew this dream, and this is what's being referred to here, I know from Allah that which you know not. So I know from Allah that which you know not, that the vision that Yusuf, the dream that Yusuf alayhi salam saw is truthful, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will certainly make it come true. Verse 87. O my sons, go you and inquire about Yusuf alayhi salam and his brother, and never give up hope of Allah's mercy. Certainly no one despairs of Allah's mercy except the people who disbelieve. Important verse for all of us. Important lesson for all of us. O my sons, go you and inquire about Yusuf and his brother, and never give up of Allah's mercy. Yes? Let's listen to this verse again. Never give up of Allah's mercy. Certainly no one despairs of Allah's mercy except the people who disbelieve.
وحزني إلى الله وأعلم من الله ما لا تعلمون يا بني اذهبوا فتحسسوا من يوسف وأخيه ولا تيأسوا من روح الله إنه لا ييأس من روح الله إلا القوم الكافرون.
Certainly no one despairs. Never give up hope of Allah's mercy. Certainly no one despairs of Allah's mercy except the people who disbelieve. So those who are not optimistic, who give up or go into despair, who despair and give up, what no one despairs of Allah's mercy. So those who despair, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is linking them up with those except the people who disbelieve. Allahu Akbar. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all and forgive us from any of this that we've ever done in the past, of any signs of despair or giving up of hope and mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam, now as we start this scene, is instructing his children to go and find out about Yusuf and Benjamin. His two dear children. Go and find out, he says. Go, gives them instructions to go and find out about Yusuf alayhi salam and his brother. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that Yaqub alayhi salam ordered his children to go back and find out about the news of Yusuf alayhi salam and his brother Benjamin in a good manner, not as spies. He encouraged them. Delivered to them the good news, and ordered them not to despair of Allah's mercy. So with a positive approach, he ordered them to never give up hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nor to ever discontinue trusting in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for what they seek to accomplish. He said to them that only the disbelieving people despair of Allah's mercy. Can you highlight, please, this end part of verse 87? Certainly no one despairs of Allah's mercy except the people who disbelieve. Never say, I can't, no, it won't. Negativity. Any negativity in our lives, rub it out. Get rid. Inshallah, have good opinion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we know this, don't we, from the hadith that we had. Yes, remember? Have good, what's the word? Sorry, opinion. The hadith Qudsi that we did a few weeks ago. have good opinions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will respond to us in a good way too, inshallah. Yes? Allahu Akbar. He says to them, go. I have this written down and I just can't locate it. Just give me a second. Here it is. Yaqub alayhi salam here. Despite the sad news, what attitude do we see of Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam? Yes, that's the question for everyone. Despite the sad news, what attitude do we see of Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam? Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam is hopeful and optimistic. A believer does not despair of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy and does not give up hope. Hadith Qudsi, I am as my slave thinks of me. Remember? Let's look at that hadith. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and this makes it a hadith Qudsi, and this comes to us from Abu Hurairah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with him. Narrated, Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrated that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, indeed Allah Most High says, I am as my slave thinks of me, and I am with him when he calls upon me. Subhanallah. This is from Tirmidhi 2388, book 36, hadith 85. A very positive attitude, exactly. Thank you. He's going through a lot, Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam. And if anybody wanted to give us negativity, it could have been him. Allahu Akbar. Now, 3 boys are not there with him, but he doesn't give up of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy. He says to the others, go and look for them. Allahu Akbar. And this was similar at the end of verse 83. He was positive. He said, maybe Allah will bring them back to me. And then he carries on with this positivity, that I will only complain to Allah and you go and look for them. You go and look for them. Allahu Akbar. Let's continue now with this verse. Hopefully you've all highlighted the end of verse 87. How Yusuf alayhi salam Yaqub alayhi salam tells his boys to go and look for them. Never give up hope in Allah, he says, nor to ever discontinue trusting in Allah for what they seek to accomplish. He said to them that only the disbelieving people despair of Allah's mercy. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, then when they entered unto him, verse 88. Allahu Akbar. What happened? Yusuf, they said, O ruler of the land, a hard time has hit us and our family. A hard time has hit us and our family, and we have brought but poor capital, so pay us full measure and be charitable to us. Truly Allah does reward the charitable. How they have to remind him. They go to Yusuf when they went back to Egypt and entered upon Yusuf alayhi salam. They said, "Oh Aziz, a hard time has hit us and our family because of what? Blank. You tell me." Because of what? Why? What's the reason behind this? And we've brought means that are less. We brought money for the food we want to buy, but we know it's not enough, not substantial. And this is the translation, the interpretation from the scholars, several mujahid including. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said next, so pay us full measure, meaning in return for the little money, we don't have enough, we might not. Yes, thank you, Sister Maya, well done. Because of the drought, the food was scarce now. The drought is having its toll on the people. So they've returned to Yusuf alayhi salam for more rations. And they haven't got enough substantial amount of money to cover the costs in return for what they need. So they're saying, give us the full measure that you gave us before. Yes? give the full load on our animals and be charitable with us. In other words, be kinder than what we deserve. Ibn Jurayj commented in this, saying that, so be charitable to us by returning our brother to us. So some are saying that they are referring to the fact that be kind to us, be charitable in the sense that return our brother, don't ask anything from us for him, and just give him back to us. And when another scholar was asked if the sadaqah charity was prohibited for any prophet before our prophet, he said, have you not heard this verse? Okay, so pay as full measure and be charitable to us. Truly Allah does reward the charitable. So this then clarifies that charity was only prohibited further on. Okay, verse 89. He said, do you know what you did with Yusuf? So who's saying this? Who's this he in verse 89? Who's this he in verse 89? While you're thinking of this he, I'd like to give you a conclusion of what we've just covered so far today, especially in the reflection of Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam's patience in times of hardship. In times of hardship, and in my notes from many years ago, and if you want the exact date, it's something like, just a second, 2012, September 2012, I think it was the 11th of September 2012, I have this in my notes. Lesson for me from this. If you're ready, I'll dictate. And I want you to write this as a lesson for yourselves, please. We're constantly drawing lessons, and I want you to start doing this for yourselves. And we have been doing it, but you do so on your own as well. Allah Akbar. Lesson for you and I, what is it? In conclusion, from this, I only complain of my grief and sorrow to Allah, and I know from Allah that which you know not. That however great a sadness, only present it to Allah, and to remain very positive in front of everyone. Present it to Allah, cry before Allah, but don't cry in front of the people. People will not feel your pain. Okay? Many of you have seen, we do have ups and downs. We will have ups and downs. Life is not without its bumpy ride. Allahu Akbar. Life is not without its bumpy ride, but we need to carry on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mission, on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's work, only turning and asking of Him. Okay? Allahu Akbar. Ya Rabbil Alameen, shower your grace and mercy upon all of us. Verse ayah 89. He said, do you know what you did with Yusuf? So the question was, who is this he? And his brother, when you were ignorant. Let's listen to these verses.
فلما دخلوا عليه قالوا يا أيها العزيز مسنا وأهلنا الضر وجئنا ببضاعة مزجاة فأوف لنا الكيل وتصدق علينا إن الله يجزي المتصدقين قال هل علمتم ما فعلتم بيوسف وأخيه إذ أنتم جاهلون.
He said, do you know what you did with Yusuf and his brother when you were ignorant? Verse 89, the correct answer some of you are giving me is, it's Yusuf alayhi salam's questioning the brothers. Yes? He's asking his brothers, do you realize? He's making them reflect on what they did. Yes? He's making them think, contemplate. Yes? as to what they did. Do you remember? Do you know what you did with Yusuf alayhi salam and his brother when you were ignorant? In other words, you didn't know. Yusuf alayhi salam now in the next part will reveal his identity to his brothers and forgives them. Subhanallah. Fine example, fine chapter. But we will stop at the end of verse 89 on that question for us to think that why did he give them this question? Because he wanted them to contemplate too. He wanted them to think, why? Okay? Why they did this. And we will pause there because we won't have enough time to carry on with the full chapter today of this new scene of when he informs them that it is he. Okay? But at this moment then, we will have our vocabulary test, inshallah. Because I nearly carried on, but it would mean then no vocab. And seeing that you've got your test next week, I'd like to do the vocabulary just to give you a quick revision boost, inshallah. I got the impression, I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but from some of the messages this morning, early morning, that some of you were up and revising. I got this beautiful impression, like we should always have good thinking about others. So yes, very positive thinking that most of you were revising your vocabulary this morning. And as a result, you're going to all get above 8 out of 10. Am I right? Inshallah. Yes. So that does bring us to the end of today's lesson at the end of verse 89. Okay, we'll probably pick up, or should we say 80, 89 for now, yes? So end of 89, inshallah. Verse 89, lesson 251. So we'll pick up from there on Tuesday, bismillah, by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah. So what's happening on Tuesday? What's the other thing on Tuesday? Test for Juz 12a, correct? Okay. You see things are picking up now. Pace picks up in this part of the Quran. We've done all our ground rules. We've done all the basics, and that's what takes time. You're all speedier now. You're quicker at everything. So things will flow a lot faster, inshallah. Okay, so if you're all ready, give me an indication, either flower or thumbs up, whatever you want to do. Ready for the test? Yes, inshallah. Good. So number one, darahum. No, sorry, darahim. Number two, sayyara. Number three, yanfa'a. Look at the roots. Look at the 3 letters in the middle that are giving you that word. Number 2, sayyara. Number 3, yanfa'a. Number 4, al-bab. Number 5, anhum. Number 6, akhna. Sorry, akhaha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. أخانا. Number 7, لا يعلمون. I repeat, دارهم, سيارة, ينفع, الباب, أنهم, أخانا, لا يعلمون, أبوهم is number 8, أبوهم. Number 9, دخلوا. Number 10, if you're ready, Himmel, verse 72, we saw Himmel. I would love to give you clues, but I'm not going to. Let's see. So what's darahim? Darah. What does it remind you of? Now, when I go through the answers, I don't want you to change your answers, please. Sometimes I start giving you clues and indications, but try to stick to what you've already written. Don't change your answers. So darahim, what word can you see there? If we say darahama, what do you see? Give me a word. Okay. Think of the incident at the well. Close, good, but it's not the right one. We wish it's around us, but okay. But let's see. If I say currency, darahim, currency. Remember when he was at the well and he was given, their brothers were given something. Number two, sayara. Sayara is caravan. Dirham, thank you, Sister Maya, well done, excellent. Darahim is from dirham, thank you. Number two, sayara, caravan. Number three, yanfa'a, ride, okay, caravan. Number three, yanfa'a, nafa. If I say nafa, that makes it easy, but you shouldn't change your answer, okay? Nafa, can you see ya out, yanfa'a? Caravan, good, Sister Ambori. Yanfa'a is nafa. What is nafa? Number four, albab. Number four, albab. So number one is dirhams, from the darahim is dirham. Sayara is caravan. Number three, yanfa'a is profit. Nafa is profit. Number four, albab, door. Excellent, Sister Smina, good. Albab is door. Babul Aziz, Babul Salam, we see this when we go on Umrah, it's all over. Bab. Anhum. Anhum. Then number six, akhana. Na is our. And what is akha? Akhana. Number five, go back to number five. You've not given me upon them, from them. Okay. Upon them, no, from them. Here it will be from them. And akhana, our brother. Excellent. Well done. Who's that? Sister Maya. Good. MashaAllah. Akhana. Am I right in saying you revised this morning? Good. MashaAllah. La ya'lamun. What's la ya'lamun? La, not. Ya'lamun. La, not. Ya'lamun. Quickly. I'm waiting. And then number eight, abuhum. Abuhum. They know not. Okay, know not. Good, excellent. Abuhum. Hum is there. Abu, their father. Dakhalu, dakhal. What's dakhal? Dakhalu, they went in. They went in. And number 10, usually say nice and easy, but it's slightly tricky. It's a new word, I think. We've not had it before. Himal, a load, a load. In Urdu, we have hamal for pregnancy, hamal, himal, a load. Somebody carries a load. The camel's load. Remember, Yusuf was giving rations, and for every family, every person, for one family, it would be the camel load. Yes? Camel load of provision for 1 year. Himal, a load. That's verse 72. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. That brings us to the end of the test. Quick fire vocabulary. I hope and pray it's helpful. You're all revising. And sisters, give me your scores, please, if you can. And Sister Maya, I took it on board yesterday. I thought you had 7, but you were giving me the answer later on, I realized. And so today, give me your scores. Okay. Out of 10. And that does bring us to, oh, is it truly a 7 today? Subhanallah. You asked for a 7, you wanted a 7. I said 7. Say, if you say good, it happens. Yes, subhanallah. I should have said none. But listen, well done, mashallah. And can you tell me, did you revise? Well, I don't need to ask, but how much should we say, how much did you revise? How long did you revise for? Sisters, it's true, the more you put in, the more you will benefit. The sweeter your tea, the more sugar you put into it. The more you put into it, the more you will get out of it. Learn your vocabulary. And bit by bit is far better than trying to do a lot. Trying to do a lot will not happen. Doing a drop at a time, few words every session will bring it together. Remember that Lego exercise we did a few months ago. Very important. Keep doing bit by bit. Okay. At this point, I'm going to pick some names, and over the next 3 days, I want you to put words into the group, okay? The names I'm going to pick are Sister Samina, Sister Ambori, Sister Maya, and one more, Sister Nasreen, okay? So sisters, your names are at the top of them. You were the last ones to send the text. So Sister Samina, Sister Ambori, Sister Maya, Samara, and Sister Nasreen. Pick your days and then send out text. Or you can all do a bit every day, every few hours. Send in 3 words. That's not hard, is it? And play the game together to learn the vocabulary, preferably from the part that you'll be doing the exam, the test on Tuesday, inshallah. Okay. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise and thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As that brings us to the end of verse 89. That brings us to the end of today's lesson 251. All praise and thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to implement what we learn into our daily lives. Ya Rabbil Alameen, please forgive us. Shower your grace and mercy upon all of us, and give us health and shifa to all those who are sick. Ya Rabbil Alameen, shower your mercy upon all those who are distressed. Ya Rabbil Alameen, shower your grace and mercy upon all of us as we prepare for our final journey. Ya Rabbil Alameen, allow us to return to you in the best way, inshallah. Please, Ya Rabbil Alameen, accept this tiny, tiny effort from all of us. Ameen. Multiply our reward. Ya Rabbil Alameen, make it wasi, make it extensive. Let it reach the other side of the world. Let it reach the great and the far. Ya Rabbil Alameen, forgive us. Forgive us. Ameen. So we will complete our lesson now, inshallah. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi adada khalqihi wa rida nafsihi wa zinata arshihi wa midada kalimatih. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار اللهم اغفر وارحم أنت خير الراحمين اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلبي على دينك الله أكبر اللهم اغفر وارحم أنت خير الراحمين ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين أعوذ بالله أن أكون من الجاهلين اللهم اغفر وارحم أنت خير الراحمين اللهم إني أسألك علما نافعا اللهم إني أسألك العفو والعافية اللهم اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.